Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam Trilokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vedyanaravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Jai Guru. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So what verse are we on this evening? We're still in chapter 2.
Verse 22.
All right, so let's do a quick review of where we are in the movement of the teaching. Are you okay, dear?
She's just grabbing a book.
Oh, okay. So, in the 11th verse, Krishna says to Arjuna, you grieve for whom you should not grieve. Though you speak words of wisdom, all the excuses and things you've been telling me are valid. The wise grieve neither for the living nor the dead. And then Arjuna gets this huge question mark on his forehead. And he's saying, I don't understand it. He's at the bottom of the chariot. He's devastated emotionally. And he said, I will not fight. And so Krishna answers him on 3 levels. And these are the 3 levels of teaching that go on through the whole Gita, at these 3 levels. First, at the level of the body, Dharma Shastra. So Krishna says, they have a beginning and an end, these bodies of the embodied. You're going to die, and so is everybody else. Why grieve over the inevitable? Let's take that in its largest sphere. It's a meditation on the fundamental impermanence of every name and form. Many people are upset about the outcome of the elections on Tuesday. Don't worry. Everybody involved is going to die. Some sooner, some later. Everything passes away. Our job is to learn to let go. What we call acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean you have to like it. Acceptance means the acknowledgement of a material fact. And unfortunately, ego tends to see situations, it's going to be this way forever. No, it will pass. Second level, at the level of the subtle body. Just as a person casts off worn out garments, so this embodied soul casts off old bodies and takes up new ones. So, what is the subtle body? It is the inner equipment, the transmigrating soul. It's the 5 organs of action, 5 organs of knowledge, the prana, mind, intellect, the ego sense, what we call chitta, the pool of the mind that has memory in it. Also, here we can say it includes the vasanas. And that has a relative immortality. That's what goes from physical incarnation to physical incarnation. Don't worry. What was it, your aunt that passed away, you were saying?
Papa's aunt.
Okay. She's fine. She's left the body. She's in some loka. And at some point, she'll take up a new body. Then there's the deeper teaching, which is what we've been dealing with the past few verses. The self is never born. Vedanta thunders the doctrine of ajati. We're never born. The classic example, you take the glass or the pot. The glass is like the physical body. The water in the glass is like the subtle body. I can pour the water from one glass to another. But you are Chidakasha, the space of pure awareness. You are like the space in the glass, which is never touched by it. I'm drinking subtle body there. Okay, let's go on with our next verse.
Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya navani grinati naro parani tatha sharirani vihaya jirnani anyani samyati navani dehi.
Beautiful.
Just as a man casts off his worn out clothes and puts on new ones, so also the embodied self casts off its worn out bodies and enters others which are new.
And this is 22?
22, yes.
Okay, so I just talked about this. Now, when he says what's the word, the self of the embodied, what's the Sanskrit? I was...
Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya navani grinati naroparani.
It's okay. But the idea here is this subtle body. Now, you run around in your dream in the subtle body. Have any of you had an out-of-the-body experience? Yes? No? So many people who've had what we call a near-death experience, they're actually very similar. So someone's on the operating table and their heart stops, and the next thing they know, they're up on the ceiling looking down at their body, and they see the doctors get the paddles out and bring them back. Or someone's had a drowning or something like that. But these ideas where people have the sense that they're outside the physical body looking at the physical body. The one that's doing the perceiving of that physical body is the subtle body. Sometimes in meditation, I used to get this all the time. I'd be sitting in meditation and I'd feel like I was like listing to one side. And then I'd open my eyes and no, I'm upright like I always am. Who's had an experience like that in meditation? Or in meditation, sometimes you have the feeling like you're rising up. Has anybody had that experience before? Yes, no?
No.
Some people do. What's happening is, for most of the time in the waking state, the subtle body is in consonance with the physical body, but not always. Sometimes it'll just kind of drift a little bit, but it has all the sense perceptions that the physical body does. But listen carefully. Just as you are not the physical body, stula sharira, gross body, you are also not the subtle body. The subtle body is fundamentally inert, it's jada. You are the eternal conscious being that illumines both. Any questions on this? Many people get very confused. When you study Gita, some people think the transmigrating soul is the self. No. It is. You're like those little Russian nesting dolls. Inside their space. All right, next verse.
Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam de dahati pavaka, na chainam kledayantyapo, na shoshayati marutaha. Weapons cleave it not, fire burns it not, water moistens it not, wind dries it not.
So here now he's shifting gears and talking about the self. What is the self? So let's go to our 4 Mahavakyas that we have from the Vedas. The first, Prajnanam Brahma. Brahman is consciousness. What is Brahman? The ultimate reality, the ground of being. It is not a body. It's not a form like Lord Shiva or like Krishna. It is consciousness itself. Where is it? It's up in the sky. How can I get in touch with this consciousness someplace? In the second Mahavakya, no. I am Atma, Brahma. This self is Brahman. Oh, Guruji, okay. I'm waiting to have an experience of the self. Maybe it's up there above me someplace. I'm going to tune into the self. The Guru shakes her head and she goes, Tat Tvam Asi. You are that. Who sees the phone? Do you see the phone?
Yes.
Yes. Who sees it? I do. That's yourself. Tat Tvam Asi. That self is the only self you're ever going to get. My problem is not that I need a different self. My problem is I've superimposed on that all sorts of wrong and strange ideas. The first one being, I think I'm the body. So we engage in the process of what we call Atma Vichara, inquiry into the nature of this self, my very experience of I. How do we do it? Viveka, Vairagya Ch2. Discriminate between the self and the not self, the subject and all the objects. My direct experience of I and all that is knowable as an object of cognition. Vairagya, that desire to give up attachment to all experiences gained through the senses and all personal ideas of self. We have two ways of approaching it. First, neti neti, not this, not this. We never say just neti, and we never say neti, neti, neti. It's always neti, neti. Na iti, na iti. Not this, not this. First, personally, I am not the body, the knower of the body. I am not the prana, I'm the knower of the energy. I am not the mind, I'm the knower of the feelings and judgments. I am not the intellect, the knower of thoughts, images, memories. I'm not even Ankriti, the karta, the sense of agency lodged in the subtle intellect. I'm not even the bliss of deep sleep. Who am I? Sakshi. I'm the witness. Chidakash, the space of your awareness. What about all this? Brahman is not the phenomenal world. It's the knower of the phenomenal world, the illuminator of it. It's not Hiranyagarbha, the total mind, all the thoughts and feelings. It's not the total vasana, which we call Ishvara, or Brahma, the creator, or Prajapati, the progenitor. What is it? Prajnanam Brahman. Brahman is the consciousness, which is the ground of being of it all. This self, Atman, and this Brahman, the ground of being of the whole universe, they are the same thing. So these are the meditations of negation, the via negativa. Then we have the assertive meditation verses. It is birthless, changeless, deathless, shines as the light of pure awareness. Pure being that never moves, never changes, always experiences the constant sense of I that is achalam, that never moves. What do? We take these verses in the quiescence of the mind. We tend to faculty, turn within. See whether or not this is true about at an auspicious moment. We have Tanu Manasaha, the thinning of the mind. And the yogi goes, there's nobody there. just pure awareness. Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahma. Not I'm an old Brahman. Touch my feet, I'm powerful now. No, I'm not a person at all. Never was. Just like a long, very vivid dream. So in this verse, the real nature of the self is what Krishna is indicating in the language of poetry. So manifested, created things, you can burn them, you can cut them, kill them, you can cleave them. Not consciousness. Physical pain and pleasure gets to the body. Emotional suffering and happiness gets to the mind. Certainty and doubt get to the intellect. But nothing touches you. Don't believe me. In a quiet mind, turn the attentive faculty of the mind within. Notice the note. Any questions about this? This implies praxis. It's not just philosophy. Next verse.
Achedyoya madahyoya makledyo shosya evacha nitya sarvagata sthanur chaloyam sanatana. This self cannot be cut, nor burned, nor moistened, nor dried up. It is eternal, all-pervading, stable, immovable, and ancient.
So the first part of the verse again is going on with this idea we can cut and burn and things like that to anything that is phenomenal in the world of name and form. Can't be done with the self. It's like you can't cut space. Now we get a list of attributes which do not define, they point. How do we use these? Sit in meditation, your text off to the side, mind has become quiet. Keeping the mind very quiet. You look at this verse, each one of these ideas, and endeavor to see, is this true about me? So what's the first idea?
The self cannot be cut.
No, after
The attributes?
Yes.
It is eternal.
Yes. So we want to make a distinction between nityam, eternal, and puranam or sanatanam, ancient, really, 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 really old. They're not quite the same thing. Nityam, eternal, means outside of time and space. Yourself, the self, is always experienced in the eternal now. I've been watching these Brian Cox videos on astrophysics, and if you watch any of those, they're just mind-boggling. For us lay people, he tries to explain some of the truths that the mathematics puts forward. We're beginning to get verified through direct observation. Things like if a person was sucked into a black hole, well, first of all, they'd get spaghettified at one level.
Mm-hmm.
But if they pass through that, it would take them just moments to pass all the way through the black hole. But if you were in a spaceship a light year away with a telescope watching this person, it would take them millions of years to pass through the black hole. So our minds tend to think of time as something that's constant. There are 60 seconds in a minute, there's 60 minutes in an hour, and it always goes at the same rate. But that's not true. It all depends on how massive gravity is or how fast you're going. There's no constant thing called time. What is constant is now. I always love to tell the story. I was at a camp with Swamiji, and one of the people there said, Swamiji, when are you coming to Allahabad? And Swamiji said, I go nowhere. Allahabad passes in front of me. So this is the real truth of our experience. You go nowhere. You shine eternally. Phenomena just passes. This succession of nows of the self. All the past is thoughts, it's memories, kind of thinking. The future is no different. What is now. This is all that's implied with nitya. Next idea.
Stable, all pervading.
Yes. So all phenomena, gross and subtle, is pervaded by consciousness. Now, the best way to understand it is go to the dream state. Who's had a dream recently? What did you dream?
I dreamt that
not the X-rated one.
Not that one.
Okay.
Not in front of these guys. I dreamt that my brother gave you a book with a message for me.
Okay. So in the dream, were you talking with your brother?
No, I was talking to you.
You're talking to me. But I was telling you that I'd gotten this book from your brother.
Yeah.
So in the dream, there was a dream Jim who seemed like other. We were talking about your dream brother who supposedly, I guess, was still alive.
No, after.
After. But there was a dream book.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in your dream, the material cause of the dream Deepa, the dream Jim, and the dream book, and all the dream thoughts, feelings, actions, reactions, conversations, and everything was contained in, pervaded by, comprised of nothing but your mind. I always like to say, you are the God of your dream. Every time you have a dream, that's mini Maya. On a small level, you have creation of the universe. And just like all the people, places, things, and conditions in the dream are not separate from you, you pervade them, you contain them, you illumine them. You are the very substance of them. This is no different. It's just not your ego doing it. It's the Lord. It's the infinite. Next idea.
Stable.
Yes. Sthita.
Sthanur.
Stop. Say it again.
Sthanur.
Yes. From the same root, statishtati,
Mm-hmm.
which is to stand, to be stable. Where we get the English words like establish, stable, standing, stationary, all come from the same Sanskrit root. So you don't ever go anywhere. You are an unchanging reality. Now, what is the practice that's implied here? As you move through the day, something happens. Maybe you get triggered in a freak out. Stop for a moment. Introvert your attention and notice the nowhere. Yep, still nobody there. It's just the space of pure awareness. Something wonderful happens. Fall in love, you make a lot of money, you get a new house or a new car. Stop for a moment. Notice the nowhere. Nope, didn't touch me. I'm still just witnessing consciousness. We need to do this over and over and over again until we're convinced that the self is achalam. It never moves. It is sthita, still, established. Stop. Whatever goes on in a phenomenal world. Next idea.
Immovable.
Yes, same thing. Have to do this one. So we have the glass here, and there's space in the glass. I'm going to do a magic trick. Did I move space? Watch the space. Oops. Is that what happens? Is there space in the glass, or is the glass in space? The self goes nowhere. You are immovable. Now, this is what important about this. Some of us think, oh, I need to go to India, to the mountains to be spiritual. I have to go to Mount Shasta to be spiritual. Oh, I can't, practice here in Oakland. It's not spiritual enough. I need to go someplace else. Where can you go where consciousness is not? It is Vijnana Ganam, as Mandukya says. Ganam means a homogeneous mass. Consciousness is a homogeneous mass of consciousness. You are. The body, mind, intellect moves in consciousness. You go nowhere. Next idea.
Ancient.
This we contrast with Nityam, eternal. Did he use Puranam?
Sanatanam.
Sanatanam. Okay. So this means really, 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 really old. So if you think back when you were 20 years old, whatever was going on at that age in your life, who knew it? I didn't. You go back to when you were 10 years old. Whatever was going on then, the little body, the little experiences of the child, who knew them? I didn't. Let's say you have an incarnation memory. Oh, I drove an ox cart in the Middle Ages. Everybody thinks, oh, I was a pharaoh or a queen or something like that. Yeah, you were probably driving an ox cart. You were a janitor in the pyramids, Most of us were so ordinary, just like now. But whatever you remember, who knows it? I do. So the self is not only outside of time, but pervades time as well. It is the ancient knower of everything. It is the knower of the field in all fields, Krishna is going to say. So when the dinosaurs were roaming around Pangea, munching on triceratopses, what was the consciousness in them that was witnessing that? It's Krishna. Next idea.
That's it.
That's it. All right. Any thoughts on this? But most importantly, do you see how to use a meditation verse? If we say, oh, the self is ancient, it is unmovable, it is eternal, oh, the self out there, some idea of the self, it will do nothing to free us. We have to stop, introvert the attentive faculty, still the mind, thin the mind, see whether or not it's true about me, myself. Next verse.
Avyaktoyam achintyoyam avikaryoyam uchyate tasmadevam viditvainam nanushocitumarhasi. This self is said to be unmanifest, unthinkable, and unchangeable. Therefore, knowing this to be such, you should not grieve.
Yes. So the first half is again more wonderful exercises in meditation. So the first idea,
The self is said to be unmanifest.
So phenomena manifests. So here's the simple understanding of this point. If it occurs in time and space, if it has name and form, if it occurs in the waking dream or deep sleep state, if it's in the past, present, or future, and most importantly, if it can be known as phenomena, either gross, the world of name and form, or subtle, feelings and thoughts, that's not it. Now, people will come and say, oh, I went to Burning Man last year and we did ecstasy. Oh, it was so spiritual, Jim. I just loved everybody. Like I dissolved and I felt one with everything. Very nice. Did you know that experience? Oh, yes. You know it. I did. And before you took the ecstasy, what did you know? Oh, we were just tromping through the mud, setting up our campsite. And who knew that experience? Oh, I did. And did you come down from the ecstasy? Yeah, we did it for 3 days, but we had the diminishing return.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happens when you do psychedelics. And you just gnash your teeth on the 3rd day. What about now? Oh, I'm a little bit crashing from this. I'm a little depressed. Do you know the depression? Yeah, who knows it? I do. All of that phenomena, all of those experiences, all of those mind states, that's not it. What is the constant in all of those? Me. I knew setting up camp. I knew the ecstasy trip. I knew coming down and feeling depressed. I know I have to go back to work. All of the phenomena, mental mind states, external experiences change. But who knows? Aham. Self is not an experience. Or it's always experienced. And language fails us. It's always I-ing. Next idea.
Unthinkable.
Yes. Some of us are trying to figure it out, to understand it. Well, Jim, is it like blah, 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 blah? Well, I have this is the image that I've come up with. Is it like da, 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 da? And what Krishna is saying here later on in this chapter, he's going to say, he who knows it knows it not. But she who knows it not knows it. Meaning when we stop the mind, get out of the mind, unknow the mind. then the nature of the self becomes clear. It is not figure-outable. Next idea.
Unchangeable.
Yes. It never changes. Don't believe Krishna. Check it out. See if under any circumstances, self is other than just Chidakash, the space of pure awareness. Next idea.
Therefore, knowing this to be such, you should not grieve.
So knowing that all change, all suffering, all sorrow is in this world of phenomena. Don't worry about it. Because our fear is all about wanting to protect or defend myself. Someone says something mean to us. How could you say that to me? I want to protect and defend myself. Oh, the stock market crashed. I'm so afraid. Can you ever change? Don't worry. Be at peace. All right, next verse. Is that all the pieces of it?
Yeah.
This is great stuff. I love this chapter.
Atha chainam nitya jatam nityam va manyase mritam tathapi tvam mahabaho naivam shochitumarhasi. But even if you think of him as being constantly born and constantly dying, even then, O mighty armed, you should not grieve.
Yes. So if your mind is not subtle enough to grasp the no thingness of the self, if you just are locked on to the idea, I'm the transmigrating soul. I'm a jiva. And don't worry, when this body is killed, I'll go to Punya Lok, Swarga, or maybe if I've been a rascal, I'll go to Naraka, the hell realms, Apollo. But don't worry, both of those realms are temporary. This is the big difference between yoga philosophy and Christianity. Christianity posits an eternal result from finite actions. What religion were you raised, Anna?
Yes,
Protestant or Catholic?
Catholic.
Okay, so very much Catholic theology. God forbid you have a mortal sin and then die. You know, oh, you're going to have infinite results. Or you've been a rascal your whole life. There you are on your deathbed, and a priest comes in, and you make your confession, you get absolution. Oh, thank you, Mother. Off you go to heaven. Isn't that what the Catholics teach? Pretty much. But yoga says we go to non-physical realms, we call them loka, but it's always temporary. It's the result of our auspicious or inauspicious actions. Punya, merit, papam, demerit. Then we come back to Manusha Loka, the human realm. Do it some more. So even if you posit that the identity is the transmigrating soul, again, don't breathe. Bhavna's aunt is fine. She's hanging out in some loka, and at some point she'll take up another body. All our relatives. What happens? All right, any thoughts or questions about this? Next verse.
जातस्य हि ध्रुवो मृत्युर्ध्रुवं जन्म मृतस्य च तस्मादपरिहार्येऽर्थे न त्वं शोचितुमर्हसि. Indeed, certain is death for the born, and certain is birth for the dead. Therefore, over the inevitable, you should not grieve.
Yes. So Deepak Chopra was once asked, is life the opposite of death? And he said, no. The opposite of death is birth. There is no opposite to life. You are a conscious, sentient, eternal, birthless, changeless, deathless being. Illuminating the stula sharira, the gross body. Illuminating the sukshma sharira. And until moksha is achieved, certain is death for the born, certain is birth for the dead. What is the physical body? The physical body is a vehicle for the garnering of experience and the satisfaction of desires. So I'm here in the San Francisco Bay Area and I want to go to Las Vegas. I cannot take a cruise ship to Las Vegas. Wrong vehicle. I can fly, I can drive, I can take the train. Can't take a ship. But if I want to go on vacation to Honolulu, I need a different vehicle. Cannot drive to Honolulu. Cannot take the train to Honolulu. Fly or take a cruise ship, just a big sailboat. So whatever experiences the subtle body feels it needs to garner, whatever desires it wants to fulfill, that's how we choose what body, what family, what nationality, what culture we're going to be born into, what gender. No accident. Then we go through our allotted dose of joys and sorrows, successes and failures. What we call our prarabdha karma, karma of this life. When your prarabdha karma is all over, guess what happens? You die. So this is the inevitable cycle. Thing to do is accept it. Not only for ourselves, for the people around us. So Bhavana's aunt was how old, you said?
60.
Yeah. And who was it who said some passed away in their 90s? Talking with somebody about that. Who is more dead? Someone who dies at 60 or someone who dies at 90? Dead is dead. I have news for you. Being dead doesn't hurt. Getting there can be a challenge. But for many people, just today can be a challenge because of attachment and identification. If we surrender to the inevitable process, the physical body, believe me, 76, every day's a bonus for me. The entire life passes so quickly. Blink your eyes and it's almost over. It's amazing. Just amazing. Then, as they say in Star Trek, we're going to face the final frontier. We'll see what happens. Any thoughts? Next verse.
जातस्य हि ध्रुवो मृत्युर् ध्रुवं जन्म मृतस्य च तस्मात् परिहार्येऽर्थेन त्वं शोचितुमर्हसि. Indeed, certain is death for the born, and certain is birth for the dead. Therefore, over the inevitable you should not grieve.
Yes. And we can take this in its largest sphere. Not just for the physical body, but for all our experiences. You get a job, it will end. You get a relationship, it will end. You buy a car, it will fall apart. Everything in this life, everything is impermanent. Now, that shouldn't bring us to a state of nihilism, but rather let us cherish the now because of its inevitable fragility. It will. Don't waste your time sitting home reviewing your misery, enumerating your resentments, worrying over the future. Talking with a fellow, he's a little resistant about marrying his girlfriend. He's like 20 or 30 years older than she. He's in his 50s. I think she just turned 30. I don't want to marry her. Have a kid. You know, when I'm 75, who's to say? You living in the unborn future? Are you putting the brakes on life because of fear? Something you don't even know if it's going to happen. and live in the eternal now with the knowledge of the fundamental impermanence of everything. Next verse.
Avyaktadini bhutani vyaktamadhyani bharata avyakta nidhana nanyeva tatra ka paridevana. Beings unmanifest in the beginning and unmanifest again in their end seem to be manifest in the middle. O Bharata, what then is there to grieve about?
Yes. So avyakta means unmanifest. Vyakta is manifest. And what we want to do is look at the philosophical definition of reality. Big old capital R. What is real? That which is never subject to negation. That which always is. So here Krishna invites us to consider what is the nature of the entire world of name and form, gross and subtle. It has prior non-existence, beginningless. When existence comes to being, the prior non-existence has an ending. It exists for a while, always subject to change. Then entropy sets in, and finally, subsequent non-existence, which has a beginning and no end. So there's just this short little period when things are. So again, the practice that's implied. Don't be attached. Let go, let go. Now, I always like to use the example of a sunset. Go out to Ocean Beach in San Francisco, and you watch the sun set over the water, turns the sky to marvelous colors of red and orange and gold and purple. And it's gone. At time, back in your car, drive back into the city. No one can possess a sunset. No one can keep the sun from setting. But is that a reason not to enjoy it? It's not. It's incredibly beautiful. But we know it's always temporary. It cannot be possessed. This is the attitude we want to take with everything in life. Everything. All your material possessions. All the people you love. Not only are they going to go, but they're also subject to change. Relationship that was very tight and close 10 years ago today is problematic. Who knows about tomorrow? We work it through. No attachment. All right, one more.
आश्चर्यवत् पश्यति कश्चिदेनम् आश्चर्यवत् वद्वदति तथैव चान्य आश्चर्यवच्चैनमन्यः शृणोति धृत्वाप्येनं वेद न चैन कश्चित्. One sees this as a wonder, another speaks of this as a wonder, another hears of this as a wonder, yet having heard none, understands this at all.
Yes. So back to the self itself. We hear about it. We may have the wonderful punya to, at some moments in our life, be able to meet a great Mahatma. We have the capacity to tune to that. Oh, it's so quiet, so blissful. What a wonder. Then I go home all over again. People speak of these Mahatmas, speak of abiding in the self. But until we have the Brahmananda Rasa Swad, it's mystery to us. Swad means a taste. Rasa means juice. Yes. Ananda is bliss. Brahmananda means the bliss of Brahman. So until we get the taste of the essence, the juice of the bliss of the infinite, talk about it, can speak, read, study, hear about it, but not yet do we own it. That only comes after practice as well as study. Okay, we'll end here. What verse are we on for next week?
30.
30. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Shishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Sri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om.